Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA Podcast. I'm your host, André Natera. On today's episode, we're going to talk chef secret societies, chef organizations, Chef Illuminati, all of that. Stay tuned. Well, before we get into it, let me give you a brief update. If you want to support the show, you know what to do. Make sure you leave 5 stars. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or anywhere you listen to podcasts, leave 5 stars. It's simple. It's easy. It takes you 1 second. You're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you want chef brains, you want more education, you want more behind the scenes content, you want exclusive podcasts, you can sign up on my Substack. I'm going to link it in the show notes. For $10 a month, you get early access to podcasts. I think I'm about 3 or 4 ahead on there. There's exclusive podcasts that are only available on Substack that will never be released anywhere else. You get access to free education, ebooks, exclusive classes. It's worth it. Plus, you get 15% off, exclusive code from the Chef's PSA store where you get like this cool hat, this hoodie. It is hoodie weather. So as we head into the fall, you want to make sure you go get yourself a hoodie and look cool. Anyway, we digress. Where were we? I was about to take a sip of, first of all, before I even take a sip, do you know what this is? Is it Expresso or is it Espresso? Don't say it. It's Expresso. You're right. Expresso. Espresso doesn't sponsor me, so I don't even know why I'm mentioning them. Anyway, we digress. Where were we? So this past week, I was in El Paso. I'm part of an organization called El Paso Family Meal. It's a group of chefs started and founded by Rico Torres. You could see him on one of the Chef's PSA episodes a couple of episodes back. He founded this organization. I'm one of the original members of the organization. What it was, it's a group of friends who all happened to be from El Paso. And we'd always bump into each other on the chef circuit, you know, whether it was a food and wine festival or whatever. And then as we got to know each other, we'd find out, oh, you're from here, I'm from here. And what Rico wanted to do is gather everyone together, go back home and cook together. Been almost 5 years now since he founded the organization. And there's other chef members in here, including Gabe Morales, Top Chef winner, Jake Rojas, Omar Flores, Fermin Nunez, and a lot of other chefs. We get together, we go home, and we cook. Sometimes we do it in Austin, Texas. They've done it in Rhode Island. But what was really interesting is this past event that we did. There was 2 parts to it. So part 1 was I did a book signing and lecture at the Culinary Institute, Southwest Culinary Institute in El Paso, Texas. I did a lecture, and by the way, this book right here, Bad Cooks Everywhere. I was signing it. I was talking about it. You should get it, by the way. It's available on chefspsa.com. All my books are available over there. This is a fun one. Bad Cooks Everywhere. Why? Because there's bad cooks everywhere. There's bad people everywhere. There's assholes everywhere. But there's also good people everywhere. So it's a good story. It's a good fictional narrative to teach you what it's like to work in professional kitchens if you're not used to it. But anyway, back to the event. Day 1, I'm giving a lecture. There's an after party, meet and greet. We meet up at a bar, get to network with other chefs. A bunch of culinary students show up. It's nice. It's good to interact with them and get to know them and speak with them. Shout out to them if they're listening. It was really nice to meet you. And there was also a dinner component. So the dinner component had several chefs, all doing different courses. I think we ended up with like 9 courses. I didn't do a course because there was a lot of chefs there. And my participation this time around was just to do the public speaking. But I was there in the kitchen, hanging out. But what was really interesting about this environment is that so many students and other cooks from around the city volunteered. The kitchen was packed. It was packed like sardines. There was nowhere to work because so many people wanted to come and help so they could be a part of it, right? And it blew my mind how many students, how many young culinarians just wanted to be involved because they see that it's a good cause. It goes to charity. But on top of the fact that it's a good cause, it gives them an opportunity to network with chefs that they may not have an opportunity to network with otherwise. So after the event, I put up a Chef's PSA on the Instagram page, and it said, if you want to grow, get involved. Spectators, stay on the sidelines. And it's really interesting. You should go see that post, read the caption, because it ties into this podcast. Are there organizations of chefs? Like I often joke around and say there's a Chef Illuminati. Is there really a Chef Illuminati? Maybe. I don't know. But we like to joke around and say there is a Chef Illuminati, right? There's organizations in the culinary world that can really benefit you in your career. I've been a part of many of these organizations throughout my career. I've been a member of the American Culinary Federation. I've been a member of the Epicurean World Master Chef Society. I am a member of Ment'or BKB. I've been a board member of the Texas Food and Wine Alliance. been a board member of culinary schools. I got my invite and my medal to be a member of the Disciples of Escoffier, a little pot and a medal, but I never went through the induction ceremony because COVID. But anyway, I've been involved with many of these organizations, and there's a lot of other ones out there. They all bring benefit to the individual depending on what your goals are. And not every organization is going to be right for you. And me, I've been a member of, I hate to say I've been a member of all of them at one point in time or another, but I truly have. I've been involved in most of these organizations. And I can tell you when I was involved with them, initially I didn't see the benefit. Right away, I don't see the benefit. You're in a room, there's meetings, maybe you're not following along or it's not relevant to what you do day to day. I didn't really understand why I needed to be there. Hold on, I need to take another sip of my Expresso. Expresso, it's what real chefs drink. Some of you are going to get really mad because I keep saying that, but I'm not going to stop. I refuse to say espresso. I will continue to say Expresso because I know you get mad, because most of you can't take a joke. Anyway, when I was a young chef, when I first got involved in these organizations, my chef would take me to cooking competitions and he would bring master chefs over to judge, certified master chefs, part of the American Culinary Federation, to judge how we were cooking. And I was just a young cook at the time, but I wanted to be great. So I used to get so nervous going up and presenting my food to these master chefs. But they knew who I was, and they started to take interest and invest in me. Later on, I worked for another chef, and he was heavily involved in several organizations, the World Master Chef Society and the American Culinary Federation and the Texas Chefs Association, actually. So three different organizations. And he would take me along to all these fundraisers. I would be washing dishes in the back or setting up for him while he'd go network. And I used to hate it. I really didn't like it at the time because I was the sous chef or the cook. I was the setup guy and I was the cleanup guy. And I used to think, wow, he gets all the credit and I just have to be here doing all this stuff. Now, at that time, I didn't realize it. And I would sometimes complain to him and he would say to me, Andre, it's about networking. It's about getting to know those people because it's not about who you know. Sometimes it's about who knows you. And that didn't make sense to me at the time. But later on in my career, it did. It's very important to make sure that you're out there networking, meeting different chefs at these fundraisers, at these food and wine festivals, getting involved in the community, being involved in some of these organizations. Because many opportunities start to present themselves to you and start to open up for you. Years later, I mean, this is almost 25 years ago that I was just an apprentice moving Cambros full of food around food grazers. And these chefs still talk to me. It was surreal because back then, these were people that I idolized. These were master chefs. These were certified executive chefs. These were people that were top of the food chain in the city. And they all knew my name. I didn't think they knew my name. I mean, I barely even talked to them. They just knew me. I was a good kid. They knew me as someone that was going places. I still talk to them to these days. And sometimes it's nostalgic for me to bump into some of these chefs that I used to idolize when I was a kid. And I cherish those friendships and those mentorships that I received for them. I didn't really know how lucky I was. Earlier, I had mentioned El Paso Family Meal. One of the members there, Jake Rojas. Jake is a great chef, funny guy, but also a great chef. And he's worked in some of the best restaurants, including, being the chef at Joel Robuchon, amongst other places. And he and I were talking one day, and we didn't know that we were kind of in the same group. He was an apprentice also at the same time I was an apprentice under some of the same chefs. So we went down memory lane, talking about, oh, do you know this one? Oh man, I worked under that one. And it's interesting how much he revered these chefs just as much as I did. Here he is, a very successful chef now, many restaurants, many executive chef positions, legendary. And we both kind of came up in the same circles and people opened up doors for us. He got his foot in the door in Las Vegas because of his chef. When you're involved in these organizations, whether it be Ment'or BKB, a couple of episodes back, I interviewed Robert Salatiki, which it was a great episode. I think everyone should listen to it. But he talks about the organization Ment'or, which was founded by Thomas Keller, Jerome Bocuse, and Daniel Boulud. And this organization is it's a who's who of chefs, of the greatest chefs in the United States, helping a competitor go to the Bocuse d'Or. This year, Stephanie De Palma. They train them, they coach them, and they prepare them. But on top of that, there's also the opportunity to go get one of these mentorship grants to go work in some of the best restaurants in the world, whether that be the French Laundry or Per Se or Noma, fully paid for. And I know when I was a chef, many of my team members took advantage of that. And why? Because doors open for you when people know who you are. right? And not only do they open for you, but if you're the executive chef, they also open up for the team. And it creates opportunities for them to go experience new things. That's part of your legacy. You want to see your team grow and succeed and go out there and stand on their own 2 feet. But sometimes they come back. And when they come back with new skills that they learn from other chefs in other kitchens that they could bring back to your kitchen and hopefully do it in the right way. Not say, well, that's not how we did it at my last job, but say, hey, this is what I learned at these places, and use it as an educational resource. I was talking to a chef once, and he was constantly involved in these culinary competitions. And we were talking about the certified master chef exam and how one person passed and one person didn't. And he had mentioned to me the importance of being involved in a lot of these culinary competitions through the ACF is that way people know who you are. Because if they've never seen you cook before, and then you go through a certified master chef exam, they might cut you a little slack because they know you've demonstrated it before. They've seen it done before. Where if they don't know you at all, they have to assume everything, at that point, everything that they see from you that day is all they know. There is no slack. So again, it's important who you know, right? I could pick up the phone and I could call up one of my friends and they could help me get a job, or one of my friends calls me and says, hey, do you know this person? Can you make a recommendation, or can you make a couple of phone calls? What do you know? This happens all the time. People are opening doors for you or closing them without your knowledge. I know stories about chefs that I've never met. Sometimes in the position that I'm in, it's a little bit weird because I know a lot of things about the industry or about positions or moves that are happening or big announcements that are coming out, and I can't always talk about them. And so I have to act surprised when I hear the news for the first time. Sometimes it's just a funny position to be in. But anyway, what was I talking about? We digress. Being involved in an organization is going to open up a lot of doors for you. Now, I'll share this with you. Years ago, this is a good story. There's a legendary certified master chef by the name of Ferdinand Metz. And he and I were judging Gordon Ramsay's master chef auditions in Dallas, Texas. And they're doing the auditions at Le Cordon Bleu at that time in Dallas, Texas. And he and I are doing the judges' auditions. And for me at the time, I had never met him before. And this guy's a legend, right? And we're talking, and I'm like in awe because there was a point where we had like a 5-hour gap break. I was like, I'm just going to hang out with Ferdinand Metz for 5 hours and pick his brain. It was a surreal experience for me at the time because he walked on water. That was the celebrity chef for me, right? I mean, back in the day, if you looked at every culinary textbook from the CIA, it said Ferdinand Metz or Fritz Sonneschmidt. And so here I was, I got to spend all this time with him. And he says to me, Andre, I'm hardly ever in Dallas. I want to cook. I was like, great. He's like, organize something. So I was like, holy shit, what do I do? So I got on the phone, I call up all my friends and I say, hey, we're going to cook in my kitchen after hours. Show up at like 10 p.m. So at 10 p.m., some of the best chefs in Dallas show up. And at that time, times were different. I'm trying to remember who was there. It was Scott Romano, who at the time was the chef of Charlie Palmer's, Matt McAllister, famous chef from FT33 and other restaurants in Dallas, Brian Lucier, who at that time had The Grape, and a couple of other chefs, Pat Mitchell and so on and so forth, a couple of food writers. There was a food writer there from the New York Magazine. I don't remember, but we're all cooking in the kitchen. And then afterwards, we go sit down and we have dinner with Ferdinand Metz. And he's talking about the importance of creating community and an after hours get together of chefs. He says, this has to be an idea exchange forum. He says, you need to be able to exchange ideas. You need to be able to exchange resources. You need to talk about which cooks are coming up, which ones need to grow. Who do you have? You need a position. Who do we know? He's like, if you want to elevate the city, the only way you're going to elevate the city in a secondary market, because we were in Dallas, Texas at the time, he's like, the best chefs need to get together and you need to break bread and you need to help each other grow, not make it a competition, but lift everyone up at the same time. It was a really important message that he gave us. And he wanted to champion this tremendously. So he had come back a couple more times after that, reached out to me and said, organize the team again. The second time we got together, it was even bigger than the first time. Because the first time it was on a whim, who could I get a hold of? The second time, bigger names involved. Dean Fearing, Stephen Piles, again, Matt McAllister. I'm trying to think who else was there. But every big name chef basically in Dallas at that time all showed up. We all got together and cooked. And there was 3 master chefs coming down to cook with us as well. You had Fritz Sonneschmidt from the CIA, Ferdinand Metz, Ed Leonard, and they were all cooking side by side. We sat down at this big banquet table and we had a feast. Everyone threw down, everyone cooked, and it was a lot of fun. And we talked about those things that Ferdinand Metz thought was so important, about building a network, building a community. Now, you talk about these secret door, closed meetings, and this is what it's about. This is that Chef Illuminati. It's about how strong is your network? Can you pick up the phone and get favors, make moves, access to resources? I experienced that at that point. I experienced that this weekend with El Paso Family Meal. And the most important thing, I think, if you're listening, is what are you doing in your city to create that? If you're a young culinarian, what organizations are you going to get involved in? Are you going to join the American Culinary Federation? Are you going to join the slow food movement? Are you going to become a fellow at the CIA? Join the World Master Chef Society or a local organization of chefs where you're at. Get involved. Go to the fundraisers. Volunteer. Participate. Like I said, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. What I want to do with Chef's PSA is bring you in, let you know what goes on behind the scenes, and hopefully fast track your career so you could get involved in some of these things. A lot of doors will open for you, I promise you. In your city, get a group of chefs together. Late night, cook together, exchange ideas, talk about your sous chefs and your line cooks and who's ready to move up. Create opportunities for mentorship for them. Give them opportunities to work in each other's kitchens to learn and bring back ideas. Foster communication, right? The bigger your network, the more opportunities you're going to have. And also, if you're not involved, understand from a career standpoint, there's a certain degree of proficiency that's needed. Culinary acumen, technical skills, that's the gatekeeper if you want to get a job and you want to move up, right? If you don't have that, you might as well be in any industry. Because without the culinary skills, that is what is unique to our industry, is the ability to cook. So you have to have that down. That has to be on autopilot. Your skills have to be there. Then, of course, you have leadership, managerial skills that are needed specifically for a chef and to run kitchens. But then after that, it's your network. It's who you know. And the person who has those other two things plus a network will create more opportunities. You can't be mad when opportunities are going to people and you say, oh, they only take care of their friends, but yet you stay on the sidelines and don't want to participate. The next question you might say is, well, how do I get involved? You just show up, right? Don't be afraid. Reach out. When you see an event is happening, reach out to the event organizer and say, can I volunteer? Can I show up? Can I be involved? Can I hand out plates? When you're at these events with other chefs, introduce yourself, shake hands. I was telling some of the younger culinary students, make sure you go around and introduce yourself to all the chefs. They were a little bit nervous, like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous, chef. I was like, I promise you, these chefs will not bite your head off, and they will actually enjoy talking to you, giving you advice, and spending a little bit of time with you. Being a chef is more than just cooking. It's also about your network. Get involved, get out there, make a friend, help a friend, mentor somebody, get a mentor. That's it. If you want to support the show, you know what to do. Make sure you leave 5 stars, nothing less than 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Go to chefspsa.com. You get everything, all the books, all the merch. If you're trying to get on that mentorship waiting list, there's an email in there you can reach out to. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
No, it's André in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction. Stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, classes in session.